I'd like to welcome an energetic leader with a deep appreciation of the domestic maritime industry. As a former mayor of a Midwest city, he appreciates the need to move our nation's products along the inland waterways and Great Lakes. As a veteran, he understands the importance of sea lift to get material to the fight. And now, as Secretary of Transportation, he's working to ensure that our nation understands that maritime infrastructure is an indispensable national asset. Please welcome the 19th Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg.
Well, thank you, Midshipman Vega, for that introduction. It's an honor to address this distinguished group of maritime industry leaders, veterans, federal employees, and, of course, U.S. merchant mariners. I want to thank Acting Administrator Lucinda Leslie for her leadership, and I want to thank Reverend Nesselhut for his invocation. Thank you also to General Lyons, Chairman Maffei, Admiral Schultz, Bishop Cahill, and all of the participants in today's program. Today, as the Department of Transportation honors the service and the sacrifices of this country's merchant mariners, I'm reminded of a prayer on the small bronze plaque that President Kennedy kept on his desk in the Oval Office. It was an old fisherman's prayer, inscribed on that plaque reading, "God, thy sea is so great, and my boat is so small." Over the course of the last year and a half, we have all been reminded how small our lives can feel in the face of enormous forces and events beyond our control. And it has been a reminder of just how much is at stake and at risk for those who work to keep our country going. On land, our dock workers, who often have to navigate close quarters, have faced higher rates of contracting the virus. At sea, many of our merchant mariners had to quarantine abroad, far away from home and their loved ones. One chaplain, a 27-year-old from the Seamen's Church Institute, described hearing from mariners who had missed family events from the birth of a child to the loss of a parent. I know that those aboard merchant vessels have felt over the course of the past year at times like there may have been no end in sight. And yet that didn't stop our merchant mariners and maritime industry workers from helping to steer the entire country through the challenging waters that we've been in. In the midst of a global economic crisis, you kept freight moving, helped industries stay afloat, and sometimes prevented entire economies from going under. In the face of a shortage of medical equipment, you delivered life-saving protective gear to the frontline medical workers who needed it most. And in a year that saw one climate disaster after another, you delivered critical goods, supplies, and hope to those impacted communities. The truth is that most Americans don't think about how the furniture in their living rooms, or the clothes in their closets, or the phones in their pockets got there. They often don't think about the ships that carried those goods to our shores, or the mariners who crewed them, or those at the ports waiting to unload. Yet for over 240 years, merchant mariners have worked tirelessly, indispensably, to connect this nation and the world. So today, we honor that service. I can think of no better tribute to the merchant mariners and maritime workers we celebrate today than continuing to work to honor these jobs and to make sure those jobs are safe and secure. This is part of what we hope to accomplish with the American Jobs Plan, the President's proposal which would invest $17 billion in inland waterways, coastal ports, and ferries, all so important for mariners to be able to do their jobs safely and effectively. The President's vision also includes a new Healthy Ports program to mitigate air pollution in the neighborhoods surrounding our ports, which is a matter of fairness because these ports are so often home to communities of color. Our longshore workers, shipyard workers, and other maritime industry laborers have been hit hard by the pandemic, losing wages, jobs, and even lives. But we have a moment on our hands where we can rebuild for the future, build back better, improving our infrastructure, maritime and beyond, in a way that puts these American workers first. It's why the President's plan so strongly supports measures to make sure that the goods and materials for infrastructure investments are made in America, shipped on U.S. flag, U.S. crewed vessels. And that support extends beyond the American Jobs Plan. This administration is firmly committed to the Jones Act, which President Biden has called the cornerstone of our domestic maritime industry. For nearly a century, we have taken Maritime Day as an occasion to honor the mariners who protect our economic prosperity during peacetime and our national security during wartime. We honor mariners from Dr. Billie L. Pennings, whom we honor today for her service in World War II, to the maritime workers who serve as we speak. But the date itself, May 22nd, also marks an important moment in maritime history. On that day, 202 years ago, the SS Savannah became the first steamship to navigate the Atlantic Ocean. In many ways, this voyage opened a new chapter in our nation's history as a maritime power. But just 3 years later, during a bad storm on a night with no visible stars, the Savannah ran aground on a sandbar off Long Island. Battered by waves, she eventually sank. So, America built a lighthouse. And for decades after, the Fire Island Lighthouse helped to guide transatlantic ships safely to shore. For many immigrants, the light from that lighthouse was the first sign that they had arrived in America. At moments like this, on uncharted and treacherous waters as a country and as a society, we turn, as we always have, to our mariners. It's why we have a duty to protect and support the mariners and the maritime industry workers who have always protected and supported this country. Thank you for everything that you do. Be safe and stay well.